Hey, so today we're going to be talking about my most favorite topic and what has been taking place earlier today at the Capitol building in DC. So just stick with me. So, politics is not by any means my preferred topic. Oftentimes I see people getting bent out of shape or thinking they can see everything so clearly. But the problem is that politicians tend to muddy the waters, and the media tends to muddy the waters. Then you throw hurt feelings and general dislike for our fellow men and women on the other from across the aisle. Nothing about this takeover in DC is clear. Um, People may think that it's clear, but it's really not. So this leads me to think, how should we as Christians react to this? Should we be a part of this little takeover? Um, to this latter question, I think Jesus said it best when he said, give to Caesar what is Caesar's, and to God what is God's. Paul also talks about this in Romans 13, verses 1 and 2. He says, everyone must submit himself to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except that which God has established. The authorities that exist have been established by God. Consequently, he who rebels against the authority is rebelling against what God has instituted, and those who do so will bring judgment on themselves. And he goes in he says some more things throughout the chapter, but the first two verses seem to kind of speak clearly to my point. Now, I don't know if there were Christians present at this takeover, but I think it's fair to say that some would claim that title. This action is not becoming of a Christian, nor is it commended by Christ. Think of when Peter drew his sword and cut the ear of the soldier off, and Jesus told him to put away his sword, and he healed the soldier who Peter wounded. What's interesting about this protest is that this same group of people who spoke out against the left, throwing fits about Trump's victory, or when our cities were plagued by riots, are now the ones throwing fits and doing wrong. I'm not trying to point fingers at one side or the other. I'm pointing the finger at both sides. So what good is it to do wrong as a reaction to a wrong and condemning others for doing the same wrong? This, to me, looks a lot like a bunch of wrongs with no one trying to do right. Or it's as if people think that two wrongs actually make a right, when in fact two wrongs is simply that, just two wrongs. Um, I understand people's frustration with our broken political system. I understand that there's a wave of mistrust throughout the country in our electoral process. But when we allow ourselves to become barbaric, uncontrollable, hateful, vengeful even, this does nothing to fix that broken system. All we're doing is adding to and exacerbating the brokenness of the system. President Trump also put out a feed on Twitter. I think what he said was okay. I think he appealed to his base in this instance, and maybe he truly believes that he was wronged out of the election. He might have been, but if that were the case, I think the courts would have been a little bit more supportive if that were the case. But that is not why I'm making this video. But even though he agrees with the protesters' reasons for this Capitol building takeover, he does tell them to go home and do so in peace. And I think this is sound advice from the president, because even though we may have been wronged, it does not mean that we should go out and cause terror or havoc. We should already know that those on the left are looking at this and thinking, see how those conservatives act when they don't get their way. This is definitely not the precedent that you want to be setting for yourself or for your whole political party. And a note, this last little bit I think is probably the most important part of this video. As I see it, we live in a culture of contradiction. Everyone says, oh, you shouldn't act that way. However, when the tables are flipped, they act in the exact way that they condemned. The way to fix brokenness and contradiction is not to live out contradictions and dish out more brokenness. We need to come together and not cause greater separation. Only with an attitude of peace and listening can we ever move towards repairing the damage of human fallenness. Only with an attitude of realizing that most of the people on the other side of the political aisle want to see this country succeed can we move forward. The only way to deal with disagreement is to allow room to actually discuss the things disagreed about. We can't hear each other over the loudness of rage or the confusion of vengeance. Personally, I think we need Christ. I think we need a revival that is powered by the Holy Spirit moving through his body, the church. We need to restore love within the body and realize that Christ is our King, not the stars and stripes, not our jobs, not our party affiliation. Jesus is the one who saved us, and we need to restore peace by showing peace. I hope that we can come together with hearts of reconciliation. Please pray for this country because we need Christ in a bad way. Thanks for watching. Hit the like button, sub, share, comment. Remember to keep up the conversation.